Hi, welcome to my movie review show, Oops Spoilers. On this show, and I'll have guests eventually, review movies, TV shows, and books. I'm a consumer of pop culture and TV, and I love talking about movies, and I go see a lot, and I like a lot of TV, so I want to tell about it. On this show, I give a review of the show, give my thoughts and opinions, give you a quick rundown, and then I rate it. I rate it based on different things such as the nudity, cursing, if it was a good plot, the set design, the clothes, all that stuff, and I give that at the end. And this show is full of spoilers. And right before I really get into the full spoiler time, I'm going to say oops spoilers, and it's up to you to stop listening if you don't want to have the movie spoiled. Okay, here we go. So, from the title and also probably from my top, you can tell I am going to be talking about Barbie. The Barbie movie came out this weekend. I've already seen it twice. I saw a special showing the Wednesday before it came out, and then I saw it Sunday with a friend. And I really enjoyed it, to start off with that. And I guess I want to just talk about a couple things before I really get into the interview. First thing is, like, this is my personal opinion, and everybody's entitled to their opinion. You can think about, and this goes for all movies. You can decide to like it, you can decide not to like it. It's literally up to you. So this is my personal opinion. Yeah, I guess I just wanted to say that. And okay, so first, what I like to do is read the summary from IMDb and then get into it. So this is the Barbie movie, and this is a summary, the one sentence summary. Barbie suffers a crisis that leads her to question her world and her existence. I think that pretty much sums it up. So here we go. Oops spoilers, oops spoilers. Oh, actually, before oops spoilers, I'll say this. Like an overview kind of thing. A lot of people have asked me if you should bring your children. It's rated PG-13 for a reason. There isn't anything overtly sexual. There was a joke, and we've all seen the video of the man who slaps Margot Robbie's butt, but it wasn't super overtly sexual. There wasn't any LGBTQ things in it. They weren't, it didn't feel like they were trying to push something in that direction. There was one curse word, but it was beeped out with a Mattel thing because Barbies don't curse. The reason why I personally wouldn't bring little girls is because I don't know if they're going to understand the full complexity of the movie. If they're going to fully understand like some of the jokes. And I'll tell you guys my favorite joke. And like when you're a kid, I don't know if you're going to pick up on that. And then it really does kind of, if you are thinking about the movie, I guess you could say at a quote unquote higher level, it really does leave you questioning like about who you are and about like what you're called to do. And you should know if your kid is ready to have that conversation. And they use words like patriarchy a lot and fascist. I'll get to that in a second. Well, they didn't use that a lot. It was just used once. But, like, things like that, I feel like little kids might not get if you haven't had that conversation. So I personally, I don't think I would bring my, like, anyone under, I would say 15. But I do know someone who brought their 8-year-old and she understood it, but they could have had conversations prior to. It really does depend on the maturity, but these are just some of the things that I saw. Also, there were, in the first showing, it was girls already dressed in pink, and it was just so like, ooh, fun, girly. And there are a couple boyfriends that were there, and there were people who came that did not fit that description. So that's just something to consider, something to think about. Okay, here we go. Here's the movie. For those that aren't going to see it, I'm going to get started. Oops, spoilers, oops, spoilers. If you're like, you know what, Mal, I think I'm going to see it, turn it off now and then come back later. But if you're like, I'm not going to see this movie, I just want to hear what you think, then keep listening. Okay, here we go. So the movie starts off with that trailer that we all saw where the little girls are playing with Barbie dolls, and Helen Mirren is the narrator. So it starts off little girls are playing with the Barbie dolls, and then it talks about how after a while those were the only toys for girls, Barbie dolls. And then Barbie comes along, and Barbie can be anything. So it first shows the Barbie in the black and white swimsuit with the blonde hair that's kind of like curled, pumped up a little bit, and then it goes through all the different types of Barbies. And so essentially it was talking about how before in the world there was only baby dolls, girls could only pretend to be moms, which there's nothing wrong with that. And then the creator of Barbie, she was like, well, let's make a Barbie of a woman who can be anything, who can be a doctor, a lawyer, a vet, a mom, anything really. So yeah, they do that, and then my favorite line, I wish I like had memorized it, but it's essentially a Barbie. She is like a lawyer, and she says something along the lines of, I have emotions, and I am emotional, and I'm also logical. And the first time I heard it, I was like, yes, girl, yes, that's right. You can be a woman and have emotions. That's perfectly fine. And you can also have logic. As long as you don't let your emotions control everything, you can use your logic as well. There's nothing wrong with that. God made us. Men and women are different, and I will say that was definitely like a, I guess a thread throughout the entire movie. Men and women are different, and that's okay. That's fine. And God made women more emotional, which is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with you having more emotion and empathy. That's okay. No matter what anyone says, you do not have to stifle it. You just have to learn to control it, to harness it. You can do it. Okay. Anyway, so that line was in there, which I was like, okay, yes, all right, I'm gonna love this movie. So they did that, and then they went through. It's the song Pink. It's on the album. It's sung by Lizzo. I absolutely love it. There's like pink is like the world's greatest color. If you know anything about me, which is another reason why I was excited for this movie, pink is like my signature color. Like that's everything I own is pretty much pink. I have a couple things, yellow here, orange, lavender, but like pink's such a beautiful color. On one of my Instagram accounts in my bio, it says I believe in pink supremacy, and I do. Pink's a great color, and I'm glad that it's becoming more popular. I couldn't care less if it was or if it wasn't, because it's not going to change whether I like it or not. But you know, it's good. So it's this song, and she goes through the motions. She wakes up, she takes a shower, but there's no water because obviously you don't actually wet Barbies when they take a shower. She goes to pour some milk. There's nothing that comes out. She gets a waffle. And she like pretends to eat and everything. It's so cutesy, and it's like how you do your Barbies. So she comes down, and everything's all nice, fun, lovely, and perfect. And she's saying, hey, the other Barbies. They go through all the different types of Barbies. They have President Barbie, the whole Supreme Court is women, because it's Barbie land. So everyone is a Barbie that is in charge in Barbie land. And then we see some of the Kens, and the Kens are having fun, and everybody's on the beach. So then we meet Barbie's Ken. So every Barbie, from understanding, you find this out throughout the movie, every Barbie has a Ken. And stereotypical Barbie, that's who blonde hair, beautiful Margot Robbie Barbie is. So stereotypical Barbie is Ryan Gosling's Ken. And Ken is, there's a line where it says, Barbie has a great day every day. Ken only has a good day if Barbie acknowledges her. And to me, that's so funny. Once again, it's just a movie. I'm just going to add that. It's just a movie. No one's saying that's how it should be in real life. It's just a silly movie. Barbie land, where women are in charge because it is Barbie. Anyway, so that was funny. And then Ken gets hurt, and then you can find out that Simu, I feel like I'm not saying his name right, but he plays John on Kim's Convenience. He's so handsome. He plays like the other rival Ken. He's so handsome. So you can tell there's a little bit even more between them. And then Ken is like, hey, what are you doing tonight? And she's like, oh, I'm having a choreographed disco party. So he's like, can I come? She's like, yeah, sure. So they go and they do their choreographed disco. And you guys have seen the commercial. I mean, it gets right into it, which I love. I love when a movie isn't spending like 20, 30, 40 minutes like trying to build up to where it is. So she's at the disco party dancing. And then she goes, has anyone ever thought about death? and everything stops, and everybody's like, what? Because in this world, everything's so nice and perfect, and everything just goes the way it's supposed to go. Oh, I forgot to add. So the Barbies think that they were created, and that in the real world, because the Barbies empowered women, women are so happy and in control, and there's nothing. Men aren't really in control, and the women are just having a great time being empowered. That becomes relevant in a little bit. So all right, back to she says the thing about death, and everybody's like, what? Okay, weirdo. And she's like, oh, I'm just kidding, I'm just kidding. So she's dancing. Ken wants to sleep over. She's having an all-girl sleepover again. Every night is girls' night, which honestly sounds fab. If yeah, I get that. I'd love for every night to be girls' night. So, and then the next day, things are a little off. And long story short, she has bad breath. Her milk was spoiled, and these things have never happened before. Her feet were flat. Because Barbies are always on their tippy toes. Any Barbie, I remember noticing that as a kid. Like, that's different. So Barbie's on her tippy toes, and then she's flat. So they say you have to go talk to this other Barbie. And they're like, she's like, what? I'm talking to another Barbie? I'm like, yeah, you gotta talk to this other Barbie. So it's Weird Barbie. So she goes to talk to Weird Barbie. Weird Barbie does the whole cute shoe or Birkenstock. And so if you take they find out that there's a rip between real world and Barbie land. And whoever's playing with her in the real world, their sadness is spilling over to Barbie, which is making her question things and why she's a little like disoriented and having thoughts of death and sadness essentially. And so she's like, well, what do I need to do? And she's like, you got to pick real world, which is the Birkenstock, or a cute little heel. And she's like, okay, I'll pick the heel. And Weird Barbie's like, no, you got to fix this. Only you can fix this. Not only that, there's a part right before that where she goes up and she's like, yeah, my feet are flat and I have this. And she pulls up her leg and it's cellulite. And you're like, oh my God, cellulite, which is kind of funny, and it'll make a little more sense later. So, she's like, I can't be all these things. Weird Barbie says you have to go and fix it. You got to find the girl playing with you and make her not be sad, essentially. So she goes and she gets in her car and she's getting ready to leave, and she's singing this like silly song that I don't know. She's singing this song, and then all of a sudden Ken pops in the car. Ken went along with her and wants to come along, and she's a little like, oh, Ken, no, you're kind of annoying me, essentially. And Ken's like, please. And Ken's are and Ken. So it's Barbie and Ken. So Ken, his existence is based on Barbie acknowledging him, Barbie realizing how important he is. That's all Kens care about in this world at this time. So they take the car, then they take, I want to say, there's a bike and a spaceship and a boat and a camper, and they roller skate in some sort of order. I don't remember the exact order. They take all this to go to the real world. So they go to the real world, and you've seen the picture of them, and they're like neon pink and neon yellow, which I'm like, cute outfit. Love to see it. And they're matching everything with their neon rollerblades, and it's funny because like they come out and they're in like LA, which kind of sometimes reminds me of like where I live, where everybody's kind of just wearing like blacks and like boring. And no shade to any of my friends or anybody that I spend time with, or even the people where I live, but I personally like to wear a lot of color. So a lot of people are just kind of wearing the boring colors, and like, I don't know, it's in my Instagram bio, like life is more fun in colors. So that they're standing out. You stand out when you wear a lot of colors. I remember I have this iridescent, really pink, bright iridescent rain jacket. And I remember the first time I got it, I wore it I was in grad school, so I wore it on campus. And one of my friends told me I was brave, and I was like, what? She's like, you're wearing that jacket that's so brave. And at first she was like insulting me, like it's such a hideous jacket. And I was like, can you explain what you're trying to say a little bit more? She was like, it's so bright, and like people are going to notice that. Like, I wouldn't want to wear something that's so bright people would notice. And I was like, well, it's cute and I like it. Why would I not wear it? So, there's just some people who just don't think like that. So those are the kind of the people that when they roller skated, and that's kind of the vibe that it was. So then they're wearing these bright things and everything. Someone slaps her. Well, first she goes. First she goes and it's like, oh, look, construction workers. They're going to be so nice. And we all know the stereotype of construction workers. They all say some terrible and you like sexual things to her. And she's like, okay, I don't really understand that, but I just want to let you know, she's a woman, Barbie. She goes, I do not have a vagina and Ken does not have a penis. And they're like, okay. And then it was funny because at the end, Ken was like, I have, and she was like, we do not have any genitalia. And then Ken was like, at the end, he's like, I have all the genitalia. It was just so funny. So then a guy slaps her butt and she punches him, goes to jail. I'm like, okay, we gotta change out of these clothes. They go in these cute little cow. You see her in the pink cowgirl outfit and the Ken in the like ruffles cowboy outfit. Then they steal it. Then they go to jail. So then like, okay, I gotta figure out where is this girl I'm supposed to meet up with. So she goes. So Barbie goes and sits on a bench. I'm gonna talk about that. That is such a huge impactful moment. I'm gonna talk about that in a second. While she's sitting on the bench, Ken goes out. Ken goes out and he is noticing that like men are respected. And I think that is something that I think is really important when talking about like Barbie land versus the real world. The Barbies aren't really caring that much about the Kens there because it's Ann Ken, because it's Barbie land. So they're noticing that like, you know, if there's a part where a group of men are talking and a woman comes up to say something to him and the man goes, 1 second. And Ken's never seen anything like that because he lives in Barbie land. So he's like, this is crazy. What is this? Like, he's never seen anything like this. He sees horses, men on horses, and that becomes relevant in a little bit. The picture of Bill Clinton. They show like shots of Sylvester Stallone in like a fur coat, and he's like learning like, oh, this is men. Like, oh, we have a role. The Kens, we have a role here in the real world. So he runs back and he's like, oh my God, this is so great. So he meets up with Barbie. So while that's going on, Barbie is sitting on the bench trying to remember or trying to have a vision of like where the owner of her Barbie is. So she's sitting there and it's like a montage and she sees this little girl and then it makes her emotional because like the memories with the Barbie are really, they're sweet memories. So it makes her emotional. She's like, oh wow, I'm crying. And then while she's sitting on the bench, she looks over and it's this older woman who is, she's older, she's wrinkly, she's a little bit heavier. She's not, you know, when you're older, you're not gonna, unless, you know, sometimes body shapes are, but most people aren't, you know, hourglassly shaped. You're older, you can't exercise as much, you might not be eating as healthy as you'd like to. The woman's probably 60s, maybe her 70s. I'll say maybe 70s, 80s, actually, not 60s, 70s, 80s. And she's sitting reading a newspaper and everything. And Barbie looks over at her and says, you're so beautiful. Which, you know, if you, oh, never mind, I'll say that later. But so she looks over and says, you're beautiful. And then she's like, oh, like that was, to me, that was such a touching moment. And then the woman goes, don't I know it? And, you know, we all laugh like, ah, good for her. She recognizes how beautiful she is. And Barbie laughs. And it's just like, oh, it's a sweet moment. You know, you can, and like the music they have, the score, I mean, Billie Eilish and that What Was I Made For song, Chef's Kiss, 10 out of 10. Ugh, emotional. So, okay. Barbie knows where the girl is. Ken realizes something. She's like, okay, let's go to the girl. She's at school. They go to the school to find the girl. Well, this girl is a brat. She's my least favorite character. She has some redeemable moments, but she's still, in my opinion, very bratty. Like, and I don't have kids, and maybe I'm like, I just hope that by the time I have kids that are in high school, they're not like this. Because I don't know, if this is a representation of like today's youth, I'm like, ugh. Well, so she goes up and is like, hi, I'm Barbie. I'm here. You want to give me a hug? Everything's better because I'm here. And the girl's like, well, Barbie, we all hate ourselves because of you. You gave us unrealistic expectations, something about capitalism, and you're a fascist. And Barbie's like, I'm sorry, what? And she like starts crying a little bit like, okay, let me walk away. So then she walks away. While that's happening, someone walks up to Ken and asks him the time. Oh, first he goes to the library and he's looking up men, books about patriarchy, things like that. And a woman asks him the time, and he's like, "You asked me the time? You respect me?" And she's like, yeah. And Ken decides he needs to go out and get a job. So he goes and to like the business area, and he's like, I would like a job. And the guy's like, well, you need an MBA, you need some sort of qualifications. And he's like, okay, I don't have any of that stuff. Then he goes to the doctor. I would like to be a doctor. And she's like, you can't just be a doctor. You have to go to school, all this other stuff. And he's like, I want to keep it. You know, you've seen the commercial. And then he goes to the lifeguard thing, and it's like, I would like to do beach. And he's like, well, do you have lifeguard certification? Something like that. And he's like, no, I can't save anyone, and I'm not gonna be able to rescue you. I just need to do beach. And the guy's like, I can't hire you for that. And then he walks away all upset. So that's what's going on with Ken. So then Barbie is sitting crying, and it's so funny. She's like, and she called me a fascist. I don't control the railways or the economy, something like that. That part was funny. So while that's happening, someone from the CIA calls Mattel to tell Mattel that two of their Barbies were loose. This is when we meet Will Ferrell. So I guess he was an intern or something. And Mattel goes upstairs to where the people in charge of Barbie are. And they're like, oh no, we can't have this happen. This happened once. It wasn't a good thing. Yada, yada, yada. So then they go back and they have to go find Barbie. So they meet Barbie at the school, pick her up, take her away. She's like, okay, whew, good. Let's work all this out. I just want to go back to how things were. The kids here are mean. I don't want to do it. So then they take her back to Mattel. And Barbie is, you know, they're smoozing her up. They say, hey, you need to go back into this box. Go back into the box. Everything's going to be fine. She's like, okay. And then he goes, oh, can I speak to your CEO? And then your female CEO. And then Will Ferrell's like, well, that's me. COO, a man. CFO, another man. And he, this is so funny. And Will Ferrell was like, he's like, oh, I don't like what you're implying here. We used to have two CEOs that were female, something along those lines. And then he goes, I love women. Everyone here loves women. And, you know, everybody's nodding because they're like men. They love women. And then he goes, I am the son of a mother. I'm a mother of a son. I'm a nephew to an aunt. It was so funny. And Barbie's like, okay. So anyway, she doesn't want to go into the box, so she runs away. They have a cute little Scooby-Doo type thing. And then she runs into this older woman. She pours her some tea, and Barbie, she tells Barbie that her name is Ruth, and Barbie, she says, Barbie's a little different. Goes, yeah, I'm normally a lot prettier. And she's like, no, you look beautiful the way you are, something like that. And, you know, Margot Robbie could have a potato sack on and she'd still look gorgeous. So, but the idea is like, you don't have to be perfect. Anyway, so that happens and she leaves, and then she runs to America Ferrera, and it turns out that America was the one who was playing with Barbie because she was coming up with designs and everything, and her sadness from just like the humdrum of life had seeped into Barbie, and they just were so sweet. So America Ferrera and her daughter was the one that called Barbie a fascist. They all come together, have a little powwow, and said they need to go back to Barbie Land. But Ken had already left and gone back to Barbie Land, and he told the Kens about patriarchy. So by the time they get back to Barbie Land is completely different. All of the women are kind of like giving beers to the men, which is hilarious. And they're like, oh yeah, and the president is not the president. They're cheerleaders for the men, because at the beginning, the men were the cheerleaders for the women, and it's flipped. And then they're like, whoa, what is going on? Like, that's the president, that's the Supreme Court, that's this, that's that, what is happening? And long story short, Ken came back and had told all the other Kens and all the Barbies that about patriarchy and how patriarchy was, and then everybody reverted. So the women reverted to caricatures of like servitude, and men reverted to caricatures of I have the power, give me a beer type of men. So that happens. Barbie's upset because Ken takes her dream house. All the Kens take over the dream houses, the Barbie dream houses that are so cute and pink and fun, and they make it like, I think, I cannot remember the name. It was like Ken's Dojo Casa House, something like that. So they do all that, and it turns out that because that's happening in Barbie Land, it's translating to the real world, and it's translating to the real world. So now they're selling these Ken's houses, and those Ken's houses are going, they're like selling fast. So then the people of Mattel, the men of Mattel come over to Barbie Land as well. So they're headed over to Barbie Land. The Kens are taking over Barbie Land. All the Barbies are brainwashed to like be subservient to the men, to the Kens, and Barbie's really upset and she's sad and she's like depressed and like the joke. So then there's a part where they cut into the joke Barbie and they're like, this Barbie wears sweatpants and eats Starburst all day. And she scrolls on Instagram for 7 hours and she sits and watches the BBC's version of Pride and Prejudice and cries, something like that, which is funny because like, come on, y'all. Does this sound familiar? So that's happening. Weird Barbie is like, hey girly, like, you know, like let's go, let's get up. She's lying on the ground and she tells America, I wish I remembered her name in this movie, but you guys know who America is. Gotta kick it up. She said boy day. So they tell America and her daughter, they're leaving and they're driving away, and then Alan, who was played by Michael Cera, no one on this earth could play a better Alan than Michael Cera. Now that is someone who was born to play a role. And I am rewatching Arrested Development. Michael Cera is such a funny actor. But anyway, so Alan, who's with Michael Cera, startles them and is like, we got to get out of here. And then there's like points, and the Kens are building a wall, but they're only building it up. They're not building it across because they don't know you need to build it across instead of up if you're going to block anybody. So Alan's like, when they realize you got to build the wall across, nobody's going to be able to leave. Long story short, America and her daughter have a beautiful, heartwarming thing because the girl's young and angsty and, man, patriarchy this, and, she's representing that, like the youths. And America is a sweet mom. Also, just a side note, America looks amazing. She looks so good in this movie. All of her outfits, I'll get to the outfits and things like that in a little bit, but looks chef's kiss to her. She did a fantastic job. So they decide to go back. They go back. They meet up at Weird Barbie's house where stereotypical Barbie, because that's what she's called, Margot Robbie, blonde hair, stereotypical Barbie. She's laying on the ground and she's sad, and America pulls her up and she's like, okay, what's wrong? And she goes, I'm not pretty anymore. Now this part I'm going to try to talk about and not get emotional. And this is the one for the girls that get it, and the girls that don't, they just don't. She gives this speech that's essentially, I'm going to talk about the speech and then I'm going to give like my opinion on the speech. I think this is kind of a lot of what the movie is about. It's the speech, and she says something like, it feels impossible to be a woman. And people who hate the movie, they're going to say that's an aspect of it. It feels impossible to be a woman. You're beautiful, you're smart, and it still feels like you're not enough. You have to be skinny, but you can't want to be skinny. You have to say you want to be healthy, which personally is something that I struggle with. This is the reason why I think it really, like, this specific part really affected me is because, like, I have felt some of the things she's talked about. And it talks about how you have to make money, but you can't act like you want too much money. Think about those girls who, not just who are making money, but girls who are making money and they want to marry someone who makes just as much money as them, but then men are telling them, or people on the internet in general are saying, well, you shouldn't expect someone to make a lot of money. So, all this other stuff. And then the part where you have to be, you have to be a boss, but still do this. And it's just saying how, like, the dichotomy of, like, you have to be a certain type of way, or they're going to say this about you, but then what they would say about you it's just, let me just read it. Let me pull it up. Someone shared it. I'll read a snippet of it. It says, you are very beautiful and very smart, and it breaks my soul to think it's not enough good. Like, we're always supposed to be extraordinary, and somehow always we're doing it wrong. We have to be skinny and not too much, and you must not say you want to be skinny. You must say you want to be healthy weight, but also, yes, you have to be skinny. You must have money, but you can't ask for money because that would be rude. You got to be a boss, but you can't be tough. You must lead, but you cannot crush other people's ideas. You're supposed to love being a mom, but you don't talk about your kids all the time. You have to be a professional, but also always take care of everyone else. You are responsible for men's behavior, which is crazy, but if you notice that, you're accused of being a whine. Okay, wait, sorry, let me pull up the rest of it. You guys give me 2 seconds. And I hate that we're like kind of getting out of it, but I want to read the full thing. Because it's so good. I think it's so oh sorry. The person who posted it. I have to go to there. Okay. 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 I'm so sorry, guys. Okay. Ooh, now it's in Spanish. Let me just get that to English. Okay. You're expected to keep yourself pretty for men, but not so pretty enough for you to try them too much or threaten other women, because you're supposed to be part of the sorority. You must always stand out and always be very grateful, but never forget the system is fixed. So find how to acknowledge it, but remember to be grateful. You must never grow old, never be rude, never show off, never be selfish, never stumble, never fail or show fear, and of course you must never be sassy. It's very hard, it's very contradictory, and nobody gives you a medal or says thank you. And it turns out, in fact, that you're not only doing everything wrong, but you're also, everything that happens to you is your fault. I'm tired of seeing myself and every woman doing the impossible for others to love us. And I think that, I'll say for myself, that resonated a lot with me because I understand that feeling. I understand the feeling of trying so hard to be something and not being enough no matter how hard you try. And I'm not saying that you have to, the part which is don't get a thank you or get a medal. True. And I'm not saying that you should get a thank you or a medal for trying really hard and not ever being, what you need to be or what you want to be. No one's saying that that's what it's just a fact. Like, you're not going to get praised if you do X, Y, and Z. And, I've experienced that where you want to be skinny, but you got to stay healthy now. Like, I mentioned that before, and someone said, well, you should want to be healthy. And it's like, well, no, the reality is I want to be skinny. I mean, that's just a fact of the matter. You're expected to keep yourself pretty for men, but not so pretty for you to try them too much or threaten other women because you're a part of the sorority. And that's kind of like the part where I'll never forget, a girl told me once, it was her birthday. I dressed up and I was feeling really cute. I loved how I looked. This was in college and we were going to celebrate her birthday. And I remember I got to her room. It was one of my friends. And I got to her room and she was like, it's my birthday. Like, why are you dressed up so much? And I was like, I just put on a dress. Like, I'm not trying to show you up or anything. So it's stuff like that. And it honestly, she made me feel bad. I was like, I'm really literally just wearing a dress. Like, I'm not trying to show you up. I always wear dresses. This is like who I am. You must never grow old. That's the truth. Let me tell you something. People do not want you to grow old. That's why everybody's doing all these serums and making sure you have all this stuff. Like, we see this. This isn't something that they're making up. These are things that are really happening in society. And I think what the problem is, and I'll say for myself, I don't necessarily think it's all because of men. I don't think these are the things that are in place because of men. Maybe you disagree with me. Maybe you agree with me. I think some of it is men. Some of it is women. I'll say the skinny one because that's the one that applies to me the most. And that's probably something that all of us women can maybe relate to, especially if you have had other body image issues your life. That is something that, obviously for men, because I would like to be married one day and men want small women. They don't want fat women. But also other women, because women can be kind of mean when they women can be very mean and dismissive when you aren't their idea of beauty. And it also could be society. Statistically, attractive people are believed more. So I don't think it's an all men thing, which is, I think, kind of what the movie was saying. So for people who have that complaint, I think like this part, I think is not all men. I think it is sometimes women, and sometimes ourselves. I know I put a lot of pressure on myself to do things. Another thing is I realized I can relate to a lot of those things because of my life experiences. Before I had like a real job, and before I had some of the experience I had, I didn't really understand some of the stuff about like men being, or when people would say stuff like, I don't like when men say, call me sweetie. I remember thinking, oh, that's so fun. Yeah, sweetie. I don't like that now either. Like now that I know more of the context, now that I've had that experience, and it comes from experience. I know for myself in my job, I'm yelled at all the time, and like people are incredibly mean and rude to me. But I have to, okay, yes, and that's life. But sometimes you don't want to do that. Sometimes you want to kind of be a certain way, but you can't because you don't want to be the hysterical woman, the angry hysterical woman, even though that's people are being that way towards you, you can't be that way toward them because of this how it is. And if I were to assert more, it would be viewed as differently. And how do I know? I've seen it. I've seen it in real life. But I'll tell you, before I had these experiences, when people would say that, I'd be like, yeah, okay. Does this make women victims? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You're not a victim if this is your life experience. It's just your life experience. And what you do is you learn to work with it. You learn to get better. The girl in the movie, the bratty girl, one thing she did say, so the mom was like, oh, we're not going to change anything. And she said something like, well, we can work to make it better. We're not going to change all the things that we see that are wrong, but we can work to make them better. We can work on talking to ourselves. We can work on figuring out how do we get along in this world. But anyway, so gives that speech. Long story short, that speech happens. I'm crying. The first time I saw it, I'm crying. The girl beside me is like sobbing, and her boyfriend was there, who was so sweet, and he like was holding her hand, and like you hear sniffles in the back because like that was such an emotional moment. Like so many women feel that way. It doesn't mean that you think you're a victim either. If you feel that way, you're not a victim. It's not saying that you're a victim. It's acknowledging this is someone's experience. And I think that's kind of hard for some people if you have not had that experience, or if you've grown up in a way where like people around you haven't had that experience, or they didn't talk about it. I think that's another difference between like now and then, is we're talking a lot about our experiences that we had, the good and the bad. So that happened. Long story short, that is how they get the Barbies to snap out of the brainwash. And I'm not going to get all of that because it's really funny. And I want you guys, if you haven't seen it, you should go see it. But there is one. So what they would do is they would take the Barbie from her kin and kind of like talk about the dichotomy. And then they would distract the kin. So one of the ways to distract the kin was to go up to him. Oh, and the Barbie was like, oh, you're watching The Godfather? And she mispronounced it, and he's like, it's The Godfather, and she's like, oh, okay. Could you explain it to me? Can you start it from the beginning and talk through the whole movie? And honestly, I cackled. That is so funny, and I'm sorry if you do not find that funny. That means you do not have certain types of men in your life. And I know I'm thinking of someone as we speak, and I'm also thinking of someone I dated once that would 100% do that. I could have explained to him, I've seen this movie already, I already know it, and he will talk through the entire movie, explain everything. So funny. Hilarious. So they did other funny quips like that to distract the kins, to get the Barbies and brainwash. That was part A of the plan. Part B of the plan was to get the kins mad at each other. So what they would do is they would have the kins sing a song with the guitar. They sung the song for like 4 hours, and then their phone would ring, and they would go talk to another kin, so get the kins jealous. So the kins are all angry and jealous. So the next morning they have a fight. They end up fighting, and then they end up having like a grease lightning like dance to get like they're fighting each other, and they ended up dancing together and realized that they were the kins. So while they were fighting and doing all that, the Barbies reinstated their old constitution, and everything went back to normal for the Barbies. The Barbies won, and the kins were blah blah blah. Anyway, so the kins come back to where the dream houses were and saw that the Barbies are back and everything. And Ken has his moment. And this is the part that I think was kind of the bow for the men. Even though this movie wasn't for men, I think it did summarize a really good thing, that's something that is going on in society. So the whole point of Ken is he's Ken. Ken doesn't know who he is without Barbie, but Ken is Knuff. I'm sure you've seen that shirt already by now. Ken is Knuff. So the idea is that like when the Kens don't know who they were, they just like fell into being dominant. They fell into doing all these like things that are harmful. They are not caring about people because they didn't know who they were. So they just go along with any and everything, which we can see that in society today. I mean, look at Andrew Tate. So yeah, that comes from not knowing who you are. And the way it wrapped up with Ken is like Ken has to figure out who he is. Okay, so that happened. All right, so now here's the other super emotional part. So everybody's happy, and we're like, we did it. We brought Barbie Land back. The women's president, Supreme Court, the lawyers, Nobel Peace Prize winners, Ken loved their friends that are women, and everybody's all happy and huzzah. But stereotypical Barbie is feeling like, but where do I belong? Like, what am I? Like, I'm just Barbie. So then Ruth, I'm trying to get emotional again. So then Ruth comes in, who is the creator of Barbie, and she says something along the lines of like, Barbie was created to be anything. You can be anything. And she says something along the lines of like, as a mother, our greatest joy is to see our daughter succeed. Something along those lines, which was just like, oh, so beautiful. And then they do this montage behind the song of What Was I Made For by Billie Eilish. And I'm sorry if it didn't make you emotional. I'm so I don't know what to tell you. And it's like a montage of like real people and like their lives and them growing up and getting old, and it's just kind of like the Barbie is understanding now the human experience about how it feels to be human. And she like at the end she asks Ruth, she's like, can I be human? And Ruth's like, it's not up to me. You can make that decision. You can be human if you want to be. And to me, what that was saying is like, part of being human is like, things are not going to always go your way. It's going to be difficult. You're going to have disappointments, but that's just part of the journey. Like, you keep going, you keep growing, you get old, you know, get a little wrinkly here and there. You can still wear your pink and still look cute and fabulous, but you might not be this completely perfectly placed human being. And like, that is okay. You're beautiful. You're fine. You keep doing what you feel as if you're made for. Oh, it was just so good. And then to wrap it all up, there's a scene where Barbie's in the car with America, her daughter, and America's husband, and they're like, we're so proud of you. You can do this. And she's like, oh, guys, I'm nervous. I'm like, you got it. We're so proud of you. So, you know, we're thinking she's going off to school or she's going to to her first job. She walks in and goes, I'm here to see my gynecologist. It's just so funny because you know that moment happens. You're like wiping your like it's over, but you're like wiping your tears and everything, and then like that happens. You're like like cackling. It's so good, you guys. I mean, I think it was a great movie. Was it a perfect movie? No. I'll talk a little bit about the things that I did not like. I will say, if you are a man and you don't have a sense of humor, and I don't mean this in like a mean way, but I mean like maybe you do want to explain The Godfather to people, and it's kind of insulting that like the idea that you would have to explain it to someone is mean. You know, socially, I don't want to judge you, and I'm not trying to judge you, but like, you know, I can understand how that can hurt your feelings. Sure. I think that, you know, the beginning, I think there is an argument. They were beating up the dolls. I just think that was just like a way to showcase, like kind of starkly showcase, okay, Barbie came along. And they mentioned being a mother in America's speech. She mentioned being a mother. Like being a mother was not seen as a negative. As a matter of fact, it was a mother-daughter and they like was talking about how great it was. So it's not, motherhood was not represented in a negative way at all. I think that, and I want to say like, no shade to people who didn't like the movie at all, but I think if you wanted to find something wrong with it, you could. Absolutely, I'm sure. You can with any movie, really. Any of the other movies I reviewed, you can say all tons of things about it as well. But I really don't think that that's what this movie like was trying to be, like super anti-man. That's not at all what I got out of it, because also at the end of the day, Ken learned about being enough. But more than anything, it's a movie about a toy for girls. So I mean, I don't know. So that was kind of like the negative. There was a couple, you know, like I don't understand how the real world came together, but that doesn't really matter, you know, in the grand scheme of things. Just a couple things like that. I'm trying to think of anything else. I will say when she did the fascist line, you can ask my friend I was sitting next to. I was like, oh, no, please don't go in this direction, and they didn't. Thank God. You know, I can't really think of anything else that I didn't like fully like. I'm trying to think of anything else, and I'm just like, I think that I just think that like if you want to look at it as a negative, if you want to say that like, yeah, well, um, the Kens weren't in charge at the end. They weren't. It wasn't Barbie and Ken Land. Well, I mean, it's Barbie Land. Like I don't know. Like if you see that as a negative, that's fine. I don't think it's that serious, so I don't see it as a negative. Um, Things I loved. Here we go. Fashion, absolutely gorgeous. Barbie wore this. I looked and it's like vintage Chanel necklace. Oh my god, love, love, love. All of Barbie's outfits, all of America's outfits were good. The tween, oh my goodness, I don't know what's going on with kids today. Hated her pants. Each time she switched pants, I was like, oh goodness, what is this? Um, all the other Barbies, super cute clothes. Love the bathing suits. Everybody looks great. And honestly, some of the Ken outfits look nice too. I wasn't really paying that much attention to the Ken outfits. Because obviously attention to Barbie. Love that. Love the decor, the dream houses. Love the car. The car is so cute. It's aesthetically pleasing. Absolutely love. Acting for every person on the screen, 10 out of 10. Even the brat. She did a good job with her character because her character was supposed to be annoying, and she was. Let me think. Anything else that stood out fashion wise? Script. I thought it was good. I think the message was really for women, and I'm sorry if as a man you wanted more out of it, but I do think the whole kind of and like knowing who you are. For the men, it was knowing who you are, understanding, and I'm gonna have to do it because this is my worldview. Knowing who God has called you to be, having your confidence, having your identity in that instead of being and something else, or and instead of being and Ken, being who God has called you to be. I think that was the message for the men. But the overall message I think for the women is like, you don't have to be 100% perfect all of the time. You are a human. Things are not always going to be exactly fabulous and fantastic and great, and that's okay. I think to me, that was the message. And look to see what you are supposed to do. You can do and be anything. Look to see what you are supposed to do and be. That is how I got out of it. That's what I've been thinking about. I feel very blessed because I do know what God has called me to do, and I've known for a while. Where it's struck, like I don't have the, because I have friends who are like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And, we're almost 30, which is, everybody has their goals or things. So like, I don't have that. My problem is like getting to where I'm supposed to be. So everybody has their thing. But like, there are people even younger than me who don't know what they're called to do, who are still struggling with that. And if what you're called to do is be a mother, that's okay. That's what America was. It is okay. Like, that's okay. If it is to be a lawyer, that's great, fantastic. That is okay. If it is to be president, that's great, fantastic. That is okay. But the idea is like, you can do it. You can be whatever you want to be. And I love that. I love that message. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, especially for younger people. I mean, obviously, I remember I had a teacher really quick. Oh man, it's so funny. I'm already at 48 minutes, and there's someone else I know who made a 48-minute video about the Barbie movie. And I had a teacher, and she used to say like, you can't be whatever you want to be. Sometimes people want to be sports people, but they're better fans. And though I agree with that, I don't necessarily know if that's like the overall. I cannot be a singer, but I can be something else. I can be singing because I can't sing. Like, I think there's, anyway, that's just something, I don't know why I brought that up. That's just something I was thinking of. But I do believe you can be whatever you want to be. But you also have to, like, know, like, if you can't sing, you can't sing. If you can't play basketball, you just can't play basketball. Be a fan of basketball. You can coach basketball if you know the plays really well. Commentate for basketball. But know your strengths, but you can be whatever you want to be. Love that. And I really do as someone, as I've said, and I'm gonna wrap it up, as someone personally who has struggled with body image and beauty and things like that, I really do love this message of like, it's okay to get old. It's okay to have a wrinkle or two. It's not, you're still beautiful. Like it's okay. And that's such a hard thing to accept about yourself. That's a hard thing to, accept and realize in general. But I want to say, like, I just really loved that message. I love the scene with the older lady, how she was still beautiful. And I just think that's just something that we can remember ourselves. And I've said this on my regular podcast, Those Are the Girls with Mallory and Friends. And I want to encourage everyone listening to think about this as we wrap it up. When you start seeing everyone for who they are, on the inside, you will see the beauty of people manifested, and you'll be able to like have better relationships. You'll be able to care, be more empathetic. If we're always so focused on like, this person has to be a size 2, blonde hair, blue eyes, and just super like beautiful all the time, like, and if that's all you care about, that's all you're focusing on, you're not going to be able to see the beauty of other aspects of people. You're not going to be able to have meaningful conversations. You don't know, the girl that's, let's say, 400 pounds that you are in school with. You don't know why she's 400 pounds. You can't just start making things up about that. Now, if she's posting, everybody should love me for my size and give me special treatment. Okay, sure. But like, the majority in real life, not online, the majority in real life of people who are bigger really are just trying to live life. They have had, like, you don't get to be that size without having some sort of emotional traumatic event or something. Like, there's other things that are going on with other people. So we can start seeing people for like who they are on the inside. You can start seeing the beauty and start treating people differently. You'll start seeing people with just different eyes. And I just really encourage everyone to do that. All in all, I'll give the movie a 4.2. It wasn't a perfect 5. Like I said, there was a couple things that like I you know, I don't think it was anti-men, but I can see how, if you want to believe that, it could be. I think that the message overall was positive. Like I said, and a couple teensy things about the plot, I was kind of like, girlies, don't make no sense. But that's okay. I thought it was good. And it's a movie about a doll. It's really not that serious. Something fun, cute, fresh, exciting. So yeah, I'm just gonna end it on this. The girls that get it, and the girls that don't, they don't. Bye.